Hi everyone, it's Heather from Flowers by Jenny Lynn, and today we're going to make a Halloween arrangement, and we've titled it The Witch's Brew. So let me show you the supplies that you're going to have, and then we'll talk about our fresh flowers. We're all going to have a plastic cauldron to work with. It has a hole in the bottom. Some don't have the hole punched out yet, so afterwards you can use this to put a plant in and put this outside if you would like to for next season. You're going to have a piece of floral foam if you're doing this at home, that you will have it soaking in your sink, and you want to put water in your sink about halfway and then let this soak down all by itself. Do not try to push it under. It can create air pockets, which are not good for flowers. You're also going to have a piece of styrofoam and a plastic liner, and this is going to compensate for when we do a flower arrangement in a container that has a hole in the bottom. By doing this, we are elevating up the foam, and we're also keeping the foam captured in a plastic container that does not have a hole in it, so it won't drain all over your table or wherever you're going to place it. One thing to keep in mind when you are watering, you're going to want to remember where the edge of that liner is, so you're watering into the liner and not into the outer area. If your container actually does not have its hole punched out yet, you still might want to check it for water tightness. That way, if you slip over the line, you're not, again, watering your table. You're also going to have some purple squigglies. You're going to have some millimeter balls. We think of these in December for making holiday arrangements. So you're going to have 3 different sizes. All bundled up is going to be your small. You are going to have 3 large and 6 small ones. 6 medium-sized ones. And then you are going to have, get these out of here, 4 wired picks, okay? Or 5. I think you were going to have 5. For fresh flowers, you are going to have a stem of painted black thistle, and we're using that because it kind of resembles spiders, creepiness, things like that. You're going to have dyed glycerin leaves, 3 mini gerberas, 3 purple carnations, 2 stems of daisy palms. You might have an orange, you might have a bicolor, which means there's 2 colors on the petals. And you're going to have 2 stems of green trick dianthus. For your foliage, you're going to have some grevillea, which has that fun cutouts on all the leaves. So that's always great at this time of year. And our tried and true Israeli ruscus, which lasts a very long time. So something really nice to be doing. All right, so let's get started. We're going to take our cauldron, and yours are going to be in 2 pieces. Mine is together with a little bit of what's called florist clay or cling, and that's so that while I'm teaching at night, I have all my supplies kind of stuck together and easier for me to find. But it is fine. Your liner will fit right on top of your piece of styrofoam. It might be green, it might be white. And then we're going to place our half a brick of foam into our liner that has already been soaked. So there, it sits pretty firmly in there. See, the liner's right here. All right. The next thing that we're going to get started on is we're going to work with our millimeter balls, because they are going to be our bubbles from our cauldron kind of spilling out over our arrangement. We kind of want to plan for that. So let's get them opened up. We're going to untwist very carefully those that are together. Sometimes you can find the end of the one that twists around everything. Sometimes it's a little bit more elusive. And you're going to have 12 of these little guys. Right, get them apart. We're going to need 3 of our wired picks. We're going to grab our 6 medium size. Our 6 mediums and our 3 large ones. And what we want to do is to create 3 groups of multi-size of these bubbles to kind of fall over the edge of the container. So this is where you get a little bit of a creative license, because you can take a couple of these and put them together. I have 2 small ones and 1 medium, and I'm going to twist one of the wires around. So I'm making little packs of them. I'm going to make a couple of those, the 2 little guys and 1 of the mediums, and kind of twist them together. That way they're not rolling all over my table here. Now, these are glass, so they're not shatterproof. So you'll have to be careful with them when you're placing them on your table, or if you have a stone countertop. If they do fall, it could be possible that they can break. So just be careful with them. Sometimes you can even squeeze them a little too hard in your hand. So when you're taking them apart, please try to be gentle with them. And the paper is on there. I can't say that the paper is glued on for life. It in some instances, this little paper wrap that's holding the wire and the ball together with a little bit of glue is not always as strong as we would like them to be. Now we should have 6 little packs of groups with 3 clustered together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about how I want this to spill. I'm going to want part of it to spill over the edge and part of it to stay in the center area where your eye will focus on. So I'm going to take one of my big guys and get him in there. And again, this is all just kind of trial and error. I'm holding it up to my edge. Ooh, I need a little bit more to go in the downward direction, but I'm going to still group that big guy together. And now I'm putting on another set of 3. And I'm just extending it forward a little bit so it gets a little bit more of that drip down. And then I'm going to tie those together. So now I've got a cascade of 2 of those smaller sets together with one of the bigger ones. And that way it kind of shows as bubbles form, some of them are a little larger than another. So we're going to try that again. I'm going to get one of my bigger bubbles and lay it not in the middle of, but kind of back a little bit so that we're creating a line with them. And I'm going to twist them together. This will form our cascade of bubbles out of our container. And then I'm going to take another group and extend that a little further down. And then I'm going to twist them together. So we're creating 3 traveling groups of bubbles. Another group with our big one. And he's not super huge. I'm not saying that he's like gigantic. They're all within a couple millimeters of one another. Okay. And then I'm going to twist these together. So now we have got little posies of our bubbles. So let's bring this back more center. Pull it to where you can see it. All right, so now we've got our 3 wired picks. And I'm going to take one of my bubble groups, and I could just insert the wire right into my foam. I could make that happen. But I like to use the wired picks because the water helps the wood to swell, and then they won't be kind of like wobbling all over the place. When you put the wire in, they don't grip into the foam where the wooden picks do. And all your wooden picks will have a little wire on them. I see that down here. And I'm going to lay it against right where my top bubble is. I'm going to put the end there. I'm going to take this wire and wrap it down the length of the stick, and that is holding the wire on. And it kind of has a curve to it, which is nice. Now I'm going to stick it down right at the baseline, right where the lip of this. I'm going to pull it in so that it's hanging over. And if we look at it from the side, it's not touching the foam. So we're kind of working on this area here that is away from the foam, but cascading over the edge. Let's get another one together. Bubbles, the green wire, lay my wooden pick on with its copper wire or copper-like. We're going to wrap that around the wood and that green wire. And now I'm going to work just a little up higher, okay? So I'm going to come up on my foam, turn to the side. This one is down low by the baseline. I'm going to put this one up just a little higher in here, but I'm still going to angle down. That way I'm not shooting straight across. And look, by putting two of them together, it's already looking like a big pile of bubbles going on. So you've got your third set here. Now, you can do what you want with it. You can continue working this bubble. You can make a wider group here. You can have it come up a little higher. See like a little hole here. You can see my sweatshirt through there. We can get it going there. You can have it coming off the backside. So this is where you can move them around and get just the right look that you would like. And if you are watching this video, I've asked that you please watch it ahead of time. That way you can get a look and see what I do with all these different materials so you can make a decision. So this one I'm going to place even higher. I'm putting my hole right up here in the top and I'm angling down. And because they're all on wires, you can then push and pull them any way you would like. So here is coming right out the front of our arrangement, this big spill of bubbles coming out. If you put yours to the back to just have something on that side because you want to use this as the centerpiece, your spill will just be a little bit smaller, and that's okay. All right, so the next thing that I want to grab, sometimes we will green our pieces up, and other times we will use our greens to kind of fill in our holes. We're kind of doing a little bit of each on here. So the next thing that we're going to work with is our green trick dianthus. It is in the carnation family. It has those same knuckles that we have talked about over time. And I'm going to cut off a decent amount of stem. This is probably too much stem still, because this is going to be one of our edge sitters. I'm probably leaving on 3 or 4 inches on the stem. And I'm going to have them not grouped together, but on opposite sides of the arrangement. So we're going to have one over here in the front sitting right on the edge. It's going to be kind of another, think of the foam. This is our bubbles, but then there's still some foam brewing in the arrangement, and we want to have that characteristic as well. So they kind of look like Mickey Mouse ears on here. And that's okay for now, but after a while, you're not going to see them. So the next piece that we're going to work with is going to be our greens here. You have 4 pieces of our Israeli ruscus. And we're going to get that the rest of the way around the edge and a couple pieces up into our arrangement. The nice thing about this, we can break it apart. I'm cutting right above the last 3 leaves that are together. So that I've got one taller piece and a shorter piece. You're going to have some where you're going to be able to break it apart into multiples. I'm going to do this one just in half again because he's kind of short. So these little threesies, like the little one piece with the 3 leaves on it, we're going to put those at the edge, where some of our taller ones we're going to use more in our center. This one we're going to break apart into more than just 2 pieces. Get that little guy off. I'm going to get 3 pieces out of him by cutting. And sometimes you're not going to have the ability to have 3. They don't always put 3 leaves together. I've got 2 there. Quite all right. I've got 2 here. I'm going to leave this guy together. We'll see if we'll need to break him down more. So let's get our edge pieces in. Let's think about the collar of our arrangement. And we're starting to cover up that foam. So when people are looking at it, they're not looking straight at the side of the cauldron and can see right into your foam area. So we want to block some of that off. So all around the edge. And they're not going to be toe to toe in here. We're just creating an edge around to block out the eyes from seeing in. So that kind of softens the edge of our cauldron. It kind of blocks the view of our foam. So then the flowers will be able to shine out through them. I'm going to stick some of our taller pieces up within. And this is our fourth guy. I am going to break him down just a little bit more to get some littler pieces in there. Kind of put my leaves around here and there throughout the cauldron. Now this is just a study on green. We've got the lime green, we've got the shiny green with the bubbles, and then we have got the waxy green with the Israeli ruscus. So there, ta-da, we're done. No, we're not. This is not a study on green. So let's get a couple more elements in here. Let's get in our flowers. So let's work with our Gerber daisies, which are our main flowers. Let's get them into place. Then we're going to work on our carnations, and then we're going to fill in with our other flowers. So here is our front. I've got my two side little handles there. You even have a handle that you can put up within your arrangement if you want to. I'm leaving mine down. So with our Gerber daisies, we're going to want to have them a little longer so that they can always get to the water source. So we're going to tuck them in. There we go. And I'm going to get another one kind of down here. And I'm going to pull another one towards the back. I just want them to be able to reach our water source. There we go. And now our third one, so that we continue the color around to the back side. You can kind of see him through the arrangement. He has a mind of his own. He is sticking shaped a little differently because of the curve of his stem. Now I can always turn him out. Let's try that. So that he's facing backwards. And you can see him through the arrangement. Right, now let's work on our carnations. You might need to squeeze and fluff out your carns. Always like working this color palette here is all the secondary colors. We've got orange, which is a mix of red and yellow. We've got green, which is a mix of blue and yellow. And then we've got purple, which is a mix of red and blue. So there really is not a focus on our primary colors, or like in the fall, a lot of times we'll use analogous colors, which are those warm tones on the same side of the color wheel. This is all secondary colors, which is kind of fun to think about. They make one another pop because in a way they have a little bit that's related to one another. Let me take a look at my front. There we go. Now, because the purple is so deep, he's looking very dark, but I do have one here, one up here, and one around to my backside. All right, so the next thing that I want to work in is actually my height piece, and that is going to be my stems of my glitter. I probably have glitter all over my face because I've been making the kits for everyone, and I pushed up my glasses, so I'm sure I have purple glitter all over me. So this you can stick in as one piece to get a nice fan across the back. You can cut it down into multiple pieces with your wire cutters, and you're just going to snip. If you have kitchen scissors, the place to cut, if you don't have wire cutters and you have to use your kitchen scissors, go all the way near to where that nut and bolt is, right in the center here, and get all the way in. That's where that bone cutting area is. So that's where you want to cut your wire. This is pretty thick, so do not cut this bottom end here where it's really thick. Cut up more where it starts to branch off into the 5 pieces. Now I've kept 3 together and I have 2 separate. That way I've got 3 standing tall, and then I'm going to scale down the other 2 so we have a little bit of a height difference. Okay, and this is just our smokiness coming off the top of our arrangement. I'm going to pull it forward a little bit, pull it forward a little bit, and to the side. That way we've got a little bit of our potion rising around our arrangement here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Next thing that we're going to work with is going to be, because they're pretty sturdy, is going to be our black painted thistle. It doesn't come this way. We did paint this ourselves here at the shop, so it'll be all ready for you. And those I'm just going to tuck in here and there. There's going to be some up towards the top, and I have some towards the back. One little extra one from another project going down. He was just tiny and I didn't want to throw him out. You'll have between 4 and 5 pieces of thistle that you can work with. And at the end, you're going to get to this nubby point. He's that center one. And he's got all these little nubbies sticking off because I cut all the side laterals off. And I'm just going to clean that up a bit. I'm going to get rid of all these little jagged edges. You can see as I turn the jaggedness. I'm going to clean that up by cutting them off. So I have a cleaner stem. It's more like a knuckle now. And he is usually my bigger thistle. Call it a bud or flower. I'm going to get him in there between my 2 Gerber daisies. A few more on the sides. They just add a little creepy crawliness to our arrangement. Let me turn it around so I can see my front. Because some of these I was placing in from the back side. I feel like I changed my center. Okay. There we go. All right, so next we're going to get in our daisies. And you'll probably have ones that might have little shorter stems. These I'm doing this ahead of the game, and I just pulled from what we had in stock. So I'm just cutting them down a little bit, probably leaving about a 5-inch stem on here. Where do I want to place them? Couple off to the side. I'm going to do the same. You've got 2 stems to work with. And then off to the side again here. So we're pulling our arrangement around, and this is, for me, a lighter tone in the orange. Those guys broken down as well. We can tuck a couple more in the back here to fill in those holes, where I see a little bit of foam going on. Turn that around. So you can see I put a couple here and one down here at the bottom. The heads of the daisies don't always go in the same direction as the heads of your Gerber daisies. Turn this back around again so you can see it. One piece of ruscus is just fighting me this whole time. All right, there we go. We've got our bubbles, we've got our Gerber daisies, our purple, our greens coming in here on the side. And now we're going to put in our last 2 pieces that we're working with. We're going to get in our grevillea first with these fun foliage. Let's break that down into little pieces. You don't need a lot. Probably 4 little clippings of that will be enough. All of these work together with one another to make a complete arrangement. You just want a little bit of texture going on. And this grevillea helps with that texture. I have a couple pieces down at the bottom. I'm not going to use the whole stem. You have more pieces and you want to use, go for it. All right. And last, we're going to work with, put this off to the side here. Yep, glitter everywhere. Be warned, glitter everywhere. All right, we're going to work with our leaves. And we now have two stems, two wired picks left to work with. So that means we're going to have two spots to place. And for me, I have a hole right here and a hole on the other side. So I'm going to kind of balance them. I'm going to cut my branches off. Now, if you can just tuck them in right like this, they're wood, they will swell. So you might be able to get like 3 or 4 little breaks out of them. If you want to make them a little taller, like this here is short, he might not reach into the foam for you. So I'm going to take, just like we did with the bubbles, we're going to lay our piece of pick against the stem of the leaves and then run this around to secure them together. And this gives you then almost twice as long of an insertion. Get him down here on the side there. So he's kind of spilling out. All right, so where else can we add? I feel like I can add another piece right here in my center area. And I don't need to use my other pick. I just put them in just in case. You just never know if the leaves are going to cooperate with you or not. And then I'm going to have this other piece on the side as well. Lots of color going on here. All these colors just pop against one another. Turn this all the way around. So it's not necessarily a one-sided arrangement since we've worked all the way around. And if you want to make it one-sided, you can take this back Gerber and make him higher. You didn't have to cut off so much stem. Things to think about. You didn't have to cut off the carnation as short. And all of your flowers can be facing towards the front. You'll see that a lot of times in flower arrangement pictures where a lot of the flowers are all facing to the front. But if you want people to see flowers around the back, then tuck them towards the back. Sorry to making such a loud noise. Wow. All right. Thank you so much for joining me in making our witch's brew, something fun to do for this Halloween holiday. And I look forward to working with you again. We do have some spots still open for Thanksgiving and Christmas centerpieces, as well as our wreath decorating classes. So give us a call, check out our website, flowersbygennylyn.com. Design classes, and the wreath one has its own separate time slots and contact form. So come and check us out. I'm Heather from Flowers by Jenny Lynn.